is the fun half of the Majority Report. Working on the phones right now. We'll read some IMs. Kowalski from Nebraska. I would like to plug my channel, Prairie Fire Neb. 2 weeks ago, you all graciously helped promote my channel, and my subscribers have nearly doubled since then to over 5K. And I have almost 25,000 additional views since then. I dropped a new video this morning and have 2 in the works, one of which is discussing Israeli agriculture. Thank you, Matt. There is a narrative that there are big technological innovators in the space. They are not, and I will prove it mathematically. Check out Prairie Fire Neb, Kowalski's channel. It's phenomenal, folks. Former libertarian. Iran's restraint in not starting a war is a microcosm of what the belligerent right wing always gets to deal with. The restraint or even compliance of the Democratic Party in this country while the Republicans push to the logical conclusion of fascism has been an infuriating narrative during my lifetime. Yeah. NC Socialists. My tenants are getting beaten up in my property. Won't someone think of my resale value? Former libertarian. The Ohio governor race is tied. Please, Ohio, do not make Vivek your governor. Preston from Boulder. Excited that you guys are talking with Maylot Quiros. We need leaders in Colorado that actually get things done. I was very impressed. I was impressed based on what I saw of her platform, but I'm even more impressed now that I heard her speak. She's good.
Great candidate.
Great candidate.
And in a very blue district like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no reason that you should have such a corporate Democrat representing that district. Dizzle McFizzle. Wow, it's so exciting to see America help women break the glass ceiling with a female dictator. That's about Machado. Plumber Girl 503. I want to say I'm an MR member and fan, and also a fan and follower of Blakely. That said, I agree with their... I don't know who that is. That said, I agree with their criticisms of your interview with Mamdani. I agree with MR's assessment that he must succeed in his agenda, but I still want to see you hold his feet to the fire on the essential values that a left-wing media station ought to. You understand how many times we've been let down by politicians of any kind.
I do, but we asked the question about the challenge to Jeffries. Like, the thing about the... if in Congress, which you're not a part of, you're a mayor of New York... the current leader of the party becomes the speaker. Like, I just don't think that's as important. But if people want to emphasize, like, make that seem more important than the thing, which he's clear about, that he doesn't want to prioritize with his political capital a challenge to Hakeem Jeffries right now. Like,
Yeah, I think, and then you can make it. It's so obvious too. Like his answer when I said, "Are you going to rule out supporting primary challenges in other races?" and he said no. And then we have him backing Brad Lander against Dan Goldman. It's like he can't support every primary challenge if he wants to get his agenda across, especially the speaker. And that is like the cold-hearted political decision, that calculus that he made. And frankly, I don't say this lightly, but I like that he's a bit of a bastard about this. Like, the most progressive presidents in the history of this country, and Mamdani is going to be mayor, but that's a very difficult position. We're bastards. Like LBJ twisting arms, getting into fights. FDR, of course, was ruthless. You have to be able to make tough choices that set you up in the best possible way to get your agenda across. And I think Zoran has that in a way that, love Bernie, love that interview the other day. I don't think Bernie necessarily had it. He played patty cakes with Joe Biden in that 2020 race. Like, Zoran's very strategic, and I like that about him.
Like I think Hakeem Jeffries is a problem, and I would love for him to lose his seat. And definitely him and Chuck Schumer are not acceptable leaders for any kind of left of center opposition. This is stuff we know. How do you prioritize going about doing something about it? Do you, again, like open up all fronts on that? And like, again, like I just think the weird thing of like, I think the more salient question is, should we challenge Hakeem Jeffries? Not like, do you think Congress should like do some sort of revolt against his speakership? Like, and then put who in speaker? Like, I don't know if the left has enough power over the entirety of the Democratic caucus to be put in that position themselves now. I think
AOC doesn't seem to think so either.
Where we're at right now, I think, is you need to have. There's going to be an intervening stage. Look, fine. If Kassar or someone, you can put them in charge of the entire party. Great. You know what? I tend to think that the party's not ready to listen and disciplined enough to fall behind someone like that. I think more important is building up power to pressure that sort of those sorts of folks. Like, for instance, Hochul, right? Like, she's already said, like, oh, I'm the type of person that the more you tell me to do something, the less I'm likely to do it. Well, that's not true, because you've already folded on congestion pricing, and we're already starting to move her on
taxing
the rich. I think that is better than us being in charge of a party that I think is still failing and taking on water. So I think like Zoran's calculation is a smart one, but I would say if DSA voted against over his standards and said we actually want to support this challenge, I would support that too. And I also think it was smart of Zoran to say that's not my priority because I'm focused on New York. Kind of like when he said I'm focused on New York and not going to Israel. Like, he's the mayor of a city right now. He's been charged with, and not any city. I'm sorry to be a New York supremacist. It's New York fucking city. Like, yeah. He doesn't want to be spending the next year of his thing talking about how his like main thing is challenging Hakeem Jeffries. I'm sorry for all the people in the rest of the country that wish that was his priority.
No, I think that's right. My one issue was that he got involved in an effort to actually curtail it, like specifically to suggest that DSA not endorse. That was sort of my one issue. I thought it would have been much better if he was just like, I'm not endorsing, and just not that would be his response for everything. Like when he was asked,
but he's a member,
not getting involved with this race. Yeah, but he also has a lot of. Of course,
power.
He has a lot of sway. Yeah. So,
but he should use his power.
I mean, that's the thing is like, is it if he's wrong and he does get bit in the ass by this, then it is going to be for all the people who voted for the challenge, further, for the next fight. But I think once these sorts of processes have been gone through, and I do think it is Zoran's prerogative. Like when we asked him about that, he said, well, this was private, but it got leaked out, right? Like it wasn't something he wanted to make a public issue. He was asked what his position on it was. And if it leaked out that his position was go for Jeffries, then that's the thing he's asked about instead of how you're going to deliver on the agenda. It's how are we doing this intra-party thing. And I do think the intra-party fight is central, but I think you can't, again, this is about, it is really like politics is war by, in another form. You need to be smart about what fronts you're opening up at which time.
Right. In that respect, though, DSA also has to realize where they are now. Their stuff is going to leak. People are looking at them very closely now, and they're in the forefront now. They're in the spotlight. And that's great, but all the negatives that come with it are going to come along with the positives too.
Yep.
I just think the process needs to be somewhat respected, and I think this is a problem I've had with DSA people on both sides of these issues, whether from the more principled to the more pragmatic. Both sides, when they have fights, and it's been like actually gone through the process in DSA, and it's been decided through that, then go on to social media to complain about it for a while. I don't think it makes the socialists look good. And so that's why I'm a little bit frustrated that this sort of thing keeps getting like rehashed. But if people think it's so important, I guess we'll continue to spend more and more time on it.
Yeah. Speaking of, though, let's, now that we're here, speaking of primary challenges, Brad Lander has jumped into the race for New York 10. That is my district. Last night, I went to his launch party, got to experience that. It was very fun and very supportive of this primary challenge to Dan Goldman. We're talking about Melak Kiros, this excellent progressive who we just spoke to, running in Colorado's first district, which is Denver. It's incredibly blue, but they have an incumbent Democrat, corporate Democrat, that's been there for nearly 30 years at this point. There's no reason that a deep blue district should have a representative like that. Very similar in New York 10. Dan Goldman made his name by being, a lawyer that stood up to Trump, and his whole shtick is, I'm the guy that stands up to Trump. I saw some reporting or a quote that Brad Lander gave to the Daily News, saying, talking about Gaza. On Gaza, we have some disagreements, but the core rationale is because it's time for fighters, not folders. Basically speaking about how according to the Daily News, his disagreements with Goldman on Gaza is secondary to what he sees as his lackluster opposition to Trump. I like Lander a lot. I hope that that is not his tactic, because I actually think that's playing right into Goldman's hands.
Yeah.
So
That's what
Main
Goldman's known
liability.
for. That's his whole thing. His opposition to Trump. That's why
yes,
those libs in your district like him so much. They don't like the other stuff about him that Lander needs to take advantage of.
yeah. So I don't like that quote, but overall, of course, I'm going to be supportive of Lander's candidacy. He's running to the left of Dan Goldman. He has already gotten the endorsements of Zoran Mamdani, of Bernie Sanders, of Elizabeth Warren, as well
Emma
as the
Vigland.
WFP. Sorry, and myself, of course. I should have led with that.
Right. Emma, as seen on CNN, Vigland.
Okay. Well, and so, you know, I hope that, you know, Lander reconsiders that, because I do think that perhaps he's underestimating how galvanizing this kind of thing is. But Goldman wins on low turnout. He also won in the first place in 2021 based on a split field. You had a variety of different progressive candidates that jumped in that race, and he rose to the top because the progressives, Yuli knew, and then you had Mondaire Jones. Like, they cannibalize one another. And so he has a lot of weaknesses in terms of not having a ton of enthusiasm. But Lander's going to have to work to drive enthusiasm. And I think a lot of how you can do that is by leaning into the fact that, like, you are not an AIPAC Democrat and he's an AIPAC Democrat, for example.
I also live in this district, and I've seen the Dump Dan Goldman rally. I happened across it several weeks ago before this announcement was announced, and they've gotten behind Lander. And this is a moment for progressives, because Zoran Mamdani, a socialist, won, not a progressive.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't perform well in this race, then I think because let's make it clear, other left candidates got out of the way for him to do this.
Yep. DSA did.
Yep. And Alexa Viles, I think is her name.
Yep.
So that's who I would have who would have supported, because just ideologically, that's what I prefer. I think Lander does deserve, because of the service he gave Zoran in the campaign, this. And he's, you know, but it's a big... it's a big responsibility.
Yep.
And I don't like that. The Dump Dan Goldman thing that's talking about his AIPAC donations. That's what people are pissed off about. You walk around this district, you see Free Palestine posters all over people's windows. Like, it's not secondary. It's not secondary at all.
Yeah. And so I think Lander has a lot to live up to in that way, because the left cleared the field for him, really. And I like that we're not making the mistakes of the past that I just mentioned with vote splitting on the left. Yeah. But here, with all of that said, here is Dan Goldman speaking to Pix 11 News on his thoughts about Brad Lander jumping into the race in New York 10.
Said that he is going to run for Congress and challenge you. So first and foremost, before we get into some specifics, let me get your take and your reaction to the fact that you now have a challenger in Brad Lander.
You know, I welcome Brad to the race. I'm not really thinking about this right now. I'm in Washington, really focused on making sure that healthcare will not be taken away from millions of people. We are focused on the immigration dragnet that Donald Trump is sweeping the country with, and that is disappearing people who are lawfully applying for immigration status in this country, taking them out of courthouses, taking them off the streets away from their families. So I'm really laser focused on the work we're doing right now, and politics will have to wait till 2026.
Okay. I mean, that is something that Lander's also running on, right? The fact of immigration, he was arrested and he's facing a lawsuit right now. I get it. But I spoke to him this morning about his video, which had some veiled threats that were thrown your way. I know you want to focus on politics right now overall and the affordability crisis, but I wanted to get your reaction to something he said earlier.
Can you pause
so take
it?
a listen to it. In the law.
I'm sorry, but yeah, we're about to play the very scary. gang member Brad Lantern.
Who
Got another
literally
no
he
J
sings
Jones
Mr.
here.
Rogers.
Yeah. Wait, what did you say, Brandon?
Got another J Jones here. You know, you
Yeah.
gotta really.
Yeah, let's see what these threats are from the incredibly terrifying Brad Lantern.
Make sure you lock your doors.
In the launch video, you said that the mayor-elect can have an ally in
sang.
Washington instead of an adversary in his own backyard. So why do you believe at this point in time that Mr. Goldman would be an adversary to the mayor-elect and not an ally in D.C.?
Yeah, I mean, look, the primary was the time for Democrats to debate who was going to be the nominee. I ran and then cross-endorsed Zoran. But in the general election, I thought all Democratic leaders should support our nominee for mayor over somebody who's a sexual harasser. And yeah, that's the kind of energy we need right now. We can't solve all our problems in New York City alone. We need fighters in Washington who will work together with the mayor to deliver that city that everyone can afford and to stand up to what the president is doing.
So you heard him right there. He comes after you for the fact that you didn't support Zoran Mamdani,
I mean, not really a threat, but okay.
right?
You didn't hear the gunshots that he fired out? Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
It's like, I got that thing on me.
Do you regret that? Did
I'm
that
gonna
put a
kill
target on
you?
your back?
Sorry.
Look, I made my feelings clear about why I did not endorse Zoran. I did not endorse anyone. I stayed out of the race. But it was never about his affordability agenda, which I support and have always
It
supported.
was about him being
I worked
Muslim.
with Zoran actually on a pilot program for the free bus fares. I have, as I mentioned earlier, been a huge supporter of universal child care long before this mayoral race, and
So why don't you
strongly
endorse it?
believe that that is a necessary future. I have been working on the front lines here in Washington to address that affordability agenda, and I have spoken with Zoran several times since the election, offered to work with him, eager to work with him, specifically mentioned he and I discussed the Department of Community Safety. As a former prosecutor, I want to support that idea because
Yeah, well,
why didn't you
then endorse
endorse-
him?
Yeah, why didn't you endorse Zoran? And then on that note, why hasn't Zoran endorsed you if you're so locked in step with him? Why did Zoran just endorse Brad Lander?
Yep.
That's
yeah.
that's just a little game that they play. That's just two alphas, like not trying to, not trying to interrupt what it means to be like a leader. So you wouldn't understand. It's all part of the subtle masquerade that high level men play.
Yeah. He's just showing his dominance over Lander by endorsing him.
Yeah. He's making it harder for him because he knows he can do it.
Yeah.
Steel sharpens steel or whatever. Yeah.
Brad Lander making threats is my new favorite.
Right. Right. You want to mess with me?
I mean,
You're
that
gonna get
campaign ad,
popped.
that campaign ad really was like, who said it? Mr. Rogers? Like even the ad was like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood set up with the
Like it.
cartoon
He
bird
sang
flying
Mr.
in.
Rogers at the end.
Yeah, I can find it.
We don't need to play it. But I want, so I think, we'll see how this race plays out. I want to make sure, I'm excited about, Lander is obviously the better candidate, but he's got to get some of that cutthroat stuff. Learn that from Zoran a little bit.
I mean, Zoran's, I think the moment that I thought, and I actually predicted, I said he's going to do it on Twitter. When he went for Cuomo's throat saying, I have not sued women for their gynecological records because I'm not you. Like that moment, and it's a little bit easier. I will grant, because Cuomo was he's sort of like disgraced.
Yeah.
It's not like Fate in Minneapolis mayor race tried to do a similar thing with Fry, going at him with Trump, but he's not quite as disgraced. But also like I don't think he had quite as it's harder to find an angle, but I do think at certain, to win these races you need to go at, like you needed to go at Hillary like that in 2016 and so forth.
I will say on that note, though, it is a disgrace for any Democratic leader especially towards the end of that race, where Cuomo and Trump and everyone were throwing out the most Islamophobic things you could think of at Zoran, for you to be a Democratic Party leader or a member of the Democratic Party in some sort of standing, a Congress member like Goldman is, and for you to not be like, all right, you know what, whatever disagreements I have with Zoran, enough is enough. I got to stand behind him. This is disgusting. For you not to do that, I think that's a disgrace.
Yeah.
And I think a political liability, because this is why like Democrat base is starting to line up more behind progressives instead of these sorts of like sellout centrists that they used to associate with winning. Well, that's all fucked now. And so why are we supporting the like sexual harasser who, created an entire caucus just to undermine progressive legislation in Cuomo? Like, why are we doing?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are, embedded in that. And I think the one that I keep coming back to is that if they'll throw, women under the bus who have been sexually harassed by Cuomo and then gone after by Cuomo, if they'll throw Muslims under the bus, whether they're like, running for mayor or just on the streets of New York, and having, Israeli and Zionist defenders attacking them, claiming that they're being anti-Semitic, or even in Gaza, like who won't they throw under the bus? And I think a lot of people are moving towards like more leftist politics because the Democratic Party's version of centrism demands that they throw more and more marginalized people under the bus every time in pursuit of Silicon Valley money or suburban moms or whatever new construct they have this week that justifies it, because they feel like those people don't have any other options. So I think giving those people other options, whether embedded in the Democratic Party, further to the left or outside the party, is the key to changing the Democratic Party apparatus, but also just, changing the country's political system in general.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Read some funny IMs about this and then we'll move on. But 502 Drew, Brad Lander, that's an awfully nice congressional seat you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Yeah, he was locked up like a few months ago. Too.
Yeah.
That's why he's so hard.
Right. Yes.
He was on the inside.
Well, that's the other thing is he needs to lean into him being a fighter for immigrants. The Mr. Rogers thing, we already know that you're nice. Maybe show the other side of you.
Take the makeup off the MS-13 tattaoo. Let's see it.
Yeah. The Mr. Rogers thing is implied every time we hear your voice for 2 seconds.
Yeah. Affordability is a hoax, says Dan Goldman, is a perfect example of why just voting for people running on Trump is bad is not the way. Noah from Tampa, Goldman more like goldfish because that's who he'll be sleeping with when I'm done with him.
Imagining this in Lander's sort of like
I know.
affable delivery.
H-Dub, it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Would be a shame if someone got hurt.
I think a couple like tasteful teardrop tattoos would look really nice on him.
I think so too.
I think he already has them. I think they're just covered up in makeup.
Yeah.
Some foundation.
This crazy woman's on my screen right now, holding
one?
holding it.
Okay.
The one holding
You
the
gotta be more-
unlit cigarette. The one holding the unlit cigarette and
Oh boy,
wearing
what's going on here?
a
Is that
Tammy
Roseanne?
Faye wig.
Wait, is Roseanne in front of the Majority Report background in that clip?
That was just
Yeah,
our
that-
sort of desktop.
No,
Oh.
no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I was
Yeah.
just showing
In the
you
studio right-
dealer's
in the studio
choice of
right now.
Crazy person.
I was like, what?
I haven't seen this clip, so you write this down, Brian, on our
I kind
sound
of wrote
sheet.
it as a joke. And I'm
Roseanne
sorry.
Barr finally addresses Nick Fuentes. What we've all been waiting for. I've got no context about this, so Roseanne
She's
Barr's
entered the Royal Rumble.
yeah, she's not usually on my radar because I file her into like too crazy to pay attention to territory. But now that she's back in
Yeah, that doesn't
political
exist
life,
anymore.
right? Trump is president again.
Candace Owens is leading the charts. One bit of context that I wasn't aware of is that Roseanne is Jewish, so that might explain where she's coming down on
I
this
didn't know that
Fuentes thing
either.
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it, Nick Fuentes? What you going to do about it when I tell you, you little bastard, you're going to be begging the Jews to give you, I don't know what.
Medicine for his Kallman syndrome.
You're going to be begging the Jews to help you down.
So the producer has a heavy lift here because he kind of needs to finish all the sentences that Roseanne when she loses her train of thought.
She's
Yeah.
speaking Xanaxanese
Yeah.
here. So
I mean, this is sort of the alley-oop method. That would probably have to do with Sam when he gets to his older age, where like that's the alley, just start the premise of the sentence and then the producers finish it.
Yeah.
Well, that's Roseanne's new like nickname. It's like Roseanne, quotation mark Xanax bar.
Roseanne's bar. Yeah.
Begging the Jews to give you, I don't know what.
Medicine for his Coleman syndrome.
You're going to be begging the Jews to help you down on your knees and repent like Kanye West, motherfucker. Keep it up. It's a fucking, what do they call it?
Reckoning.
It's a sting. It's a God sting. Are you going to go against the God of Abraham? You're going to shit talk the God of the Torah? Keep it up, motherfucker.
Not
You'll
just the
see what
Torah.
happens.
The Bible. Jesus.
We'll see what happens when you try to overthrow the Constitution of the United States, the Republic of the United States of America.
Wait, hold on.
You talk shit
hold
about.
on. Is she woke again? She's defending the Constitution from Nick Fuentes?
Well,
Well, she's like a QAnoner.
Well, there's the internal fight still going on between the various factions of the right.
Okay, I understand that, but she's saying it about the Constitution, like, so she's talking about his Christian nationalism, which I thought she was on board for last time I checked.
Is she doing a deist to Constitution defense here?
No, she is a Judeo-Christian nationalist, which
Yes.
is like
Listen
the
up, you,
thing
listen
that
up, you
like
motherfucker. Listen up, you motherfucker. Thomas Jefferson did a whole Bible and he took out all the magic Jesus parts. So what do you say about that?
Yeah, her producer had to jump in and mention the Bible part because he had to protect her right wing audience there. Can't just be talking about the Torah and the Jews. Got to also talk about the Christians.
Okay, all right. I think I'm following this.
I don't know.
Roseanne
It's not.
isn't.
It's easy.
Yeah.
She's a master communicator.
Shit talk the God of the Torah. Keep it up, motherfucker.
Not
You'll
just the
see what
Torah.
happens.
The Bible. Jesus.
We'll see what happens when you try to overthrow the Constitution of the United States, the Republic of the United States of America. You talk shit about that, saying it ain't good, that we got to have some Catholic theology to replace it. You can kiss my motherfucking rich Jew American ass motherfucker. Come and debate me. Let's debate.
I would love that.
Yeah, debater.
Debate.
But she gets like her handler to be there too. I noticed that he also looks like the handler on the PBD show because they're both like bald a little bit, maybe.
Right.
That's kind of the demographic of these producers.
Let's do 12 then while we're on the Fuentes beat. Maybe I don't know if Roseanne has the capacity. She might have goldfish memory situation or like what's the premise of 50 First Dates? I don't know if she remembers anything.
Traumatic
day-to-day.
brain damage.
Oh yeah,
The
she's got a
premise
brain
of-
damage but yeah, everyone's.
I mean, I'm
regular.
not making fun of that. I'm just addressing it.
Yeah, don't make fun of 50 First Dates, please.
Okay. But if she wants some tips on how to take down her enemy, Nick Fuentes, who's trying to overturn the Constitution, she can maybe use some of the tactics that Piers Morgan deployed in humiliating this dude. This was pretty satisfying just to watch this. Here he is on Piers Morgan's show.
Just to clear up one of the many theories about you, I've no idea what the answer is and you haven't got to answer. But are you actually attracted to women?
I am attracted to women.
You're not gay?
No. But I will say that women are very difficult to be around.
Okay.
So there's that.
And do you think they should have the right to vote?
I do not. No, absolutely not.
They should stay at home?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm the boomer. I know I'm the boomer here, but actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick Fuentes? All women.
I am.
All women are annoying. All women grow
fossil.
old. They all get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
Oh
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy who never got laid.
Oh my God, Piers is mogging them
Absolutely not.
on the. Wow.
Absolutely not.
When you're getting big dogged and macked on by Piers Morgan, it's crazy. It's crazy out in those streets.
I guess I mean, maybe Fuentes is looking at it, biblically. Like he's never, I mean, giving head would not
Yeah,
constitute
he's got
sex.
Catholic virginity, is what we call it.
Okay. I'm just in theory.
Not that I would ever watch anything.
Not that there's been any kind of evidence of that. It's just speaking hypothetically. Giving head to somebody else would not constitute sex, right?
No. Jesus did it all the time. Didn't he?
The Romans did
Sorry.
it too in 300. That's the director's cut.
Oh
The rest
yeah,
is uncut, really.
disgusting.
Well, I mean, I have no doubt that Nick Fuentes hates women. I don't know if it's rooted in his sexuality, but that's like the brand that he's got. You know, Piers Morgan, like he likes to quibble back and forth on like what his political stance is of the day. Largely, it's, you know, whatever earns him the most clout online. But like, yeah, I think Nick Fuentes has found a way to marry the divorced dad and incel teenager base that forms the most ardent MAGA supporter. Like in the fact that, like, you know, those people all hate women for one reason or another. It has married in his, you know, new brand of like hyper online meme based neo-Nazism. So I mean, whether or not he personally likes them, you know, sexually, I think is unrelated to that. But certainly, it's married into his politics.
It's what we've been saying about the manosphere / like you know, Andrew Tate style thing. Guys who are getting laid aren't watching that shit. They are cultivating an audience full of guys who have sort of arrested development in that way, mainly because our society doesn't foster things like a personal connection. It's mainly geared towards serving your boss, and people don't have as much spending money and stuff costs so much. But you take people who are young men who are ground up in that situation and never able to get any sort of traction socially, and you keep them there. Because that's an audience every fucking night. You're never gonna have to worry about them going out for dinner with a woman and missing one of your streams. They'll be there to hear about it, and you just keep picking the scabs for them and making them more and more detestable and loathsome to anybody who might, you know, want to love them. And you see,
And they come back for more to get more tips and satiate themselves. It's
It's very common in high control groups like cults. Like, you know, you have to extricate people from positive social relationships. And it's not only just guys who can't get laid. A lot of it is just guys who are insecure too. Like, because you'll hear those stories online of like the lady who's posting on maybe not Reddit, but any website of like their boyfriend just starting to listen to Andrew Tate or just starting to listen to this sort of thing. And rooted in that is insecurity. But a lot of that insecurity is fostered by the same things that they think they want, which is the patriarchy. That's telling them that like, oh no, because they don't make enough money, their girlfriend just can't possibly, or their wife just can't possibly like them, you know, or they should be looking for a prettier girl to show their, like, to demonstrate their social value to other men. And it's like thoughts like that are rooted in insecurity and will result, especially if you start to express them and hold them strongly, result in you like not being attractive to most women. Obviously, when you're rich, you can get around that. You know, usually Elon Musk can't seem to, but usually you can get around it by just like paying to have like people, you know, like be your romantic interest. But like in general, like if people who can't afford that are going to find themselves just isolated, you know, and they're going to start confusing like the negative social components of being part of that incel group, the constant denigration, the constant, like, you know, self-esteem, like knocks of being told that you're not tall enough or your jaw's not sharp enough, to like, you know, to just enmesh themselves and deeper until they can't get out. It's like any other like fringe group or cult or like, you know, radical ideology. But a lot of people don't realize it because it's not fully promoted as political. Sometimes it's promoted like common sense dating tips from like whatever alpha male podcast there is popular on the charts this week.
And his increased prominence is deeply concerning, I think. I mean, unfortunately, Fuentes is actually kind of talented at what he does. And I would put the marker at when Elon Musk purchased Twitter and allowed a bunch of Nazis back on the platform. The fact that he's continued to grow in prominence since then is not a coincidence. He's back on there. But also, of course, he has capitalized on the Gaza genocide with a lot of virulent anti-Semitism that has been rising among young right-wing figures. And so... or young right-wing voters. And I like that that little dressing down by Piers there, but I think some people really need to start reckoning with what the value of giving this guy a platform is. because at a certain level, he's just normalizing himself to the rest of the country as he's an actual Nazi. And he's adept at navigating these waters and saying certain things on certain platforms that make him sound more palatable than his views actually are. And he's a problem. I really think Fuentes is a big problem of radicalizing people in this country right now.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, Fuentes might just be he's very popular, and I agree. And I think that right now he's the flavor of the month. I keep using like terms like that, of the day, of the week, of the month. But what he represents is very dangerous, because like, who knows? He might just have a controversy like Milo Yiannopoulos did, where he gets like completely out of the news next week. But the situation, the circumstances that have led to him to be popular, and also that have led to him to be not just mainstreamed by people like Piers Morgan, but like continue to be folded into what people consider to be like reasonable, like right-wing or political discourse by people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Steven Crowder, who don't want to make the same mistake that Tim Pool is making, or they feel Tim Pool is making, by alienating themselves from the segments of their base that are becoming more radically neo-Nazi, that are becoming more like Nick Fuentes. They want to like they want to be friends with the people who are further down the radicalization pipeline they are, because it reduces the amount of schism. And so like people are going to continue to find the value in like promoting him the same way they found the value in promoting all of these right-wing figures, either because of like a misplaced sense of voyeurism, or because they just think it's useful to have their audience be open to whatever that this next person is selling.
Yeah.
Right. I would say Fuentes is a little bit more of a concern in terms of the fact that he's been the flavor of the month for many various months throughout many years now. He hasn't really gone away from when he first sort of hit everybody's radar, and he's only grown since then. He has an actual movement, if you want to call it that, but they view themselves as under an umbrella. They share a name, the Groypers, and they present themselves as that. So they're proud of being that. And I also don't think Fuentes has ulterior motives in the way that like a Milo Yiannopoulos has. Like Milo Yiannopoulos is clearly someone who has an ego, wants to be a larger than life character himself. He does a lot of it just for his own social benefit. And Fuentes doesn't seem to have that. I mean, obviously in some aspect you have an ego if you want to be a talking head in some way, but he doesn't seem to prioritize that over what his beliefs are in the way that a Milo Yiannopoulos did, which ended up being Milo's downfall.
Yep.
I do think this Candace Owens split between him, and I don't know if we want to play this, but Candace Owens is apparently going back and forth with Charlie Kirk show / TimPoolUSA, because she's implying that they she's
implying.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like she says that she's not suggesting that they orchestrated the killing of Charlie Kirk. She is saying that they are covering it up and disgracing his legacy. Now, in the same breath, she'll also say that his chief of staff made a phone call directly after the shooting, and I don't know what that would imply except that he's in on it somehow. But that's Candace Owens, when you press her, says she's worried about the cover up, and she's just asking questions about why they're doing that.
She's like Alex Jones.
Or Joe McCarthy.
I want to give my husband credit for saying this, but like he was just, that she weaves in like an emotionality into her conspiracism that is reminiscent of Alex Jones. So credit to my husband for making that point. And I just thought, I've been thinking about that since, like, that I think it engages people on that kind of visceral level in a way that some of the other right-wing commentators don't. Like, compare that to Mr. Facts and Logic, Ben Shapiro. They're meeting, that level of conspiracism hits people in an emotional way that I think is also intoxicating.
She's taken the women entirely of the conservative movement. Like the PBD clip we played, did we play that on the show, Brian? Where the guys like literally said, "My wife has been watching her." The PBD producer cuts in and says like, "Oh yeah, I've been hearing a lot because my wife isn't watching the Candace stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And all of her ads are like lotion and stuff like that. Like her audience, I think, is very clearly female, and it's any sort of right of center woman is entirely on board with her.
I think we can agree. A lot of the shows that she's like smoking right now are boring. Like, Nick Fuentes isn't boring, but like I've watched a lot of Tim Pool recently. Tim Pool is boring. Ben Shapiro is boring. Like it's a certain type of performance that they try to give that is like, meant to reference a sort of legitimacy, a legitimate type of media. Like they're trying to like be the bridge between like the independent media and like your Fox News, like more Republican aligned media. And it shows in their politics, which is also why they're not popular. But their shows are also deeply, deeply boring sometimes. Candace's show can get boring too, but her presentation is very good. And she dances around a conclusion the same way they all do. Like they'll criticize Candace for like leading people up, like leading the horse up to water and like relying on them to drink by themselves. But they do all of that all the time. They just don't like when that results in them, the horse in this case being their audience, drinking from a river that makes whatever they now have imbibed incompatible with like the pro-Republican stance. They don't like when they lead their audience to the conclusion that like, there's a secret group of people who control the world, because usually they're meaning it's like lefties or LGBTQ people, that victim complex they're always trying to get their audience to like become more enmeshed in. And when someone like Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens comes in and they like name a particular enemy that they just aren't necessarily willing to name or aren't necessarily willing to like go down that level of conspiracism, or in this case anti-Semitic conspiracism, their audience just is more attracted to the people who will say it. Like Candace Owens is making the good decision to like make friends with the people who are willing to say what she won't say, so that they don't create a schism in her own audience. But they haven't been, and that's going to become more of a problem, especially if the right wing, the MAGA base splits further and becomes more crazy, because they're becoming more crazy every day.
Yeah.
Like the Tim Pool saying we're going to lose the midterms is such a stupid rhetorical approach. Like you're talking about somebody who got assassinated and you're like, okay, not now, we have to worry about the midterms. Like I think she's full of shit. Obviously she talks about it coming from her dreams.
Say
that. Don't say like, not now, Candace, the Republican, you're ruining the midterms for Republicans, because she, like we said, she's doing what they were doing. They just wanted to make his death a weapon against the left.
Exactly.
It doesn't help too that, and what she's also confronted them with, and this gives legitimacy to like the conspiracies that she's peddling now too, is that a lot of them, like the PBD boys, Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, even although they're trying to revisit this, they're all in the bag for the Epstein conspiracy. They're all people who are telling you like, oh yeah, like there was no list, maybe Trump's on the right. And so when she can speak truth to that within like right-wing spaces too, it makes them look foolish. It makes like, it makes Adam, whatever his name is on PBD, look foolish for having defended like Trump not being on the list or whatever thing he was saying. It makes like, those people who are still trying to hold the torch for Trump on things that are just completely unreasonable seem like they have no legitimacy on whatever other issue they're talking about. And so like she's weaponizing their silence over the obvious flaws of Donald Trump the same way he weaponized the silence within the general Republican Party political apparatus against them for their base, and also against the Democratic Party too when it came to the Iraq War, any number of things that both parties or Republican Party establishment has kind of like put in a black box. And so like it's very easy for her, not necessarily being beholden to that Republican Party apparatus, to reveal all of these like open secrets about how they're not doing well, like things are too expensive, like Trump is like on the Epstein files, things that we all like, know at least to some degree, but that like some more like trying to cozy up to the administration and sitting those like press pool Republican commentators just won't do. Like they just won't say those things.
Yep. Bad enchilada. Did you guys see TMZ put out that Tim's claim his compound got shot up couldn't be substantiated by the local police department? LOL.
Surprise,
Tim
surprise.
Smollett.
That's a good one. That's the new
That's
meta.
what Candace
New meta.
called him.
That's a Candace.
That's
Timothy
nice. That's a good
Smollett.
one.
She also called him a
Candace also
fence sitter.
said she also said that the last time he claimed his compound got shot up, it was actually, according to her, his Tim Pool's brother with a gun at the compound, according to Candace Owens.
According to Candace Owens.
But Candace Owens also said, that Tim Pool was auditioning for Zionists, which is literally something I've said on this show. When did she watch? You watching MR, Candace?
She called him a fence sitter, which is the Timba on Toast video.
Yep.
I'll just say I have two new sound drops from Candace Owens' recent stuff. I would just like to enter them into the record.
Yes,
I don't
please.
know, but I know. No,
You know?
And then here's the second one.
I don't know, but I know.
Wait, but what was the other one I texted you yesterday?
Oh, that was. I have that here too somewhere. I did pull that. I just. Oh yes.
This is my new favorite.
It is. Let's see here. Right here.
What you are seeing is actually a display of estrogen.
That was in regards to Tim Pool.
Well, I mean, I will say, you know, who knows what happened outside of Tim Pool's compound that night. What makes me suspicious is that 2 years ago, almost to the exact day, he claimed that there was another shooting, and that's what there's tweets, you know, corresponding to that as well. So unless he's being targeted by a very specific kind of supervillain that comes after him on a very specific day, that being
Biannual.
like around,
And
yeah, you know,
misses
like Calendar Man
everybody?
or something. Like
He lives in
Calendar
the
Man
woods.
comes
It
after
could be
him.
like Mothman or something.
Yeah, and the Mothman comes after him like Krampus knocked every night, every December 5th. Like he comes after Tim. But he was sick last year because
It was
you know,
on December
so
5th. I'll just say that's my birthday.
who knows?
Oh, Matt,
Oh,
where
Matt.
were you?
What's your alibi?
Yeah.
I was here working.
Matt gets
I mean, I feel
hammered
like you
and
can have a lot of
shoots at
alibis on
Tim
your birthday. It's a pretty good day to.
All right, I'm gonna open
How
up.
the fuck am I even supposed to sell this property?
There's
I'm
a
gonna
skate
open up
park
the
on it.
phones. We'll take a call or two. 646-257-3920. War on Christmas Adventure says, did you guys see the Breaking Point story that the Republicans lured Jasmine Crockett into running for Texas Senate? Yep. I just think Talarico is the better candidate for this race.
Crockett's response to Michael Tracy's questions about Israel was disqualifying for me.
What was his
I'll see if I
question?
can find it.
Michael Tracy, is he still wait, so he asked about Israel, but isn't he the guy that is
like,
anti-Epstein
he is
victims?
sort of like started doing paralegal work for like Maxwell and everyone, but he is still
defending
anti-Israel.
Cuomo,
He is an enigma, but
truly.
Odd guy.
I'm glad he didn't accuse Jasmine Crockett of beating him up this time or whatever, like he did with Maxine Waters. All right, let's quickly take a call here. Calling from a 619 area code. Who's this where you're calling from? 619.
Hi, Emma. This is Greg. How are you guys doing?
Hi, Greg. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from San Diego.
Greg from San Diego. What's on your mind?
Yes. I have seen within the past week, there was a report about Donald Trump Jr. receiving a $620 million loan from the Pentagon.
Whoa.
For a company called Vulcan Elements, and his venture capital firm that he's a part of. That's his involvement with it, but nobody seems to be reporting about that. I mean, talk about blatant corruption at like the most grandiose scale that you can imagine. And I saw one little headline on Democracy Now! That posted about it, but outside of that, there's been nothing. It was just a headline. There's no details on the article, so I was hoping you guys can maybe.
Snopes has ranked this claim true. DOD gave $200 million loan to startup backed by Donald Trump Jr.'s venture capital firm. Vulcan Elements, you mentioned rare earth magnets, started by Trump Jr.'s venture capital firm, 1789 Capital. God, it's 600.
I mean, there's no conflict of interest there, right?
No, not at all. This contract is a part of a
mean,
$1.4 billion partnership with the U.S. government and Re-Element Technologies to expand and boost domestic supply of magnets, according to the company. Maybe that's why Trump's so obsessed with magnets.
Yeah. But he says they don't
well,
work.
I mean, there goes the Hunter Biden Burisma.
Yeah,
We should
he
focus
says
on
they
Hunter
don't
Biden.
work. He says they don't work, so which would make sense is why he thinks his stupid son's the stupidest one wants to get into magnets.
He's like, Matt, you get magnets wet,
Wet?
they don't work.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, this is the largest loan that the Pentagon has ever given to a company before.
God, it's just amazing how quotidian this crap is. Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a great, campaign messaging, in terms of the corruption, but we'll see. Who knows?
Hard to pick a one that's worse than that, but somehow the Trump administration seems to beat itself. Appreciate the call. Thank you.
I will say those rare
Thank
earth
you.
elements, a lot of them can be sourced from Venezuela.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Calling from a 904 area code. Who's this where you're calling from? 904.
Hello.
Hello.
Demosthenes from Florida.
Demosthenes from Florida. What's on your mind?
I don't like it here.
In Florida? Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
A lot of people coming in and out. The economy is only going to get worse. I would say Florida is a good representation of the future of America if everything keeps going the way it's going.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, not really.
All right. Well, hang in there, buddy.
The problem with Florida is you're not going to be able to insure anything down there because it's sinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also happening in Texas too, and in California, like large portions of the country are just becoming unlivable due to the rising cost of not just homes in general, but homeowners insurance, given the climate catastrophes.
All right, so here this is. So this is Michael Tracy
At the VP debate.
Hopefully he has security so that he doesn't, Maxine Waters doesn't come out from the corner and assault him again. That's a joke. So I guess they were in the spin room. What is this?
This is the VP debate. Walls. This is a while ago.
So this is a while ago, but probably relevant now.
I mean, if it's not relevant, she needs to publish her updated thinking on the issue because.
Well, Talarico's updated his position. He's no longer taking Adelson money like he did in his previous kind of campaign effort.
And a note on the Adelson money, like this is not. He says like I was taking the money not for Israel but for gambling, which.
Isn't great.
Isn't a much better position for me, frankly. I don't like either of those things. But it is better than what we're about to see from...
Well, she's... And we should say that is Miriam Adelson, major, of course, Zionist donor, also owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and has been trying to put pressure on the state to legalize gambling there, and is threatening basically to move the Mavericks to Las Vegas so that it can be a part of her primary business, which is the casino. So him taking that money makes sense, isn't great, but at least he's distancing himself from it. And I just I think Crockett has value as a partisan and she can generate enthusiasm within the Democratic base for some things, but as a statewide candidate, I really don't necessarily know. The more I've thought about it, if she's the right person. What Talarico is doing with a more, it's like he has decently progressive positions in some ways. He's okay on Israel, I think now, and he's also gives a bit of an off ramp, I think, for some of people who maybe voted for Trump to vote for a guy like him, because he's doing this I'm a good man thing, and it's a pretty big contrast to MAGA. So we'll see. This is what her answer was, though.
Continue on in perpetuity even after I'm gone. And so when you look at Israel, I think it is important that people start to talk about the fact that the state of Israel versus their leadership. Because right now, or when I went to Israel, I know that the people were protesting Netanyahu because Netanyahu was reforming the courts. In addition to the fact that Netanyahu was under investigation along with people in his administration. Sound familiar? Does it sound like somebody else that you know? It sounds like Donald Trump to me, somebody that has reformed our courts that have decided.
So, liberal Zionists complaining about
Yeah.
Netanyahu. But the stuff about the ally, and this is a 6-minute clip. I think there's even worse stuff.
That's the DMFI talking point, by the way. So.
And I would just also point out Anthony Conrad, who I think we've had on the show, right? Has this piece in The Nation about the Congressional Black Caucus's silence during the Gaza genocide. And that's what I worry, that she's being groomed by the same people who have decided that this is not a fight for us. Supposedly, as Anthony Conrad points out, a caucus that called itself the conscience of Congress. No, it's not. The people who are the conscience are the ones that aren't going to talk about, what an ally Israel is in this moment.
Yeah.
They did a genocide. We need to cut them off from fucking the things that did it.
Well, I mean, Israel is an ally to a lot of neoconservative Democrats because it allows them to have
a hiccup, folks. So,
Someone's saying the Twitch stream is down. Sorry, Brandon.
oh no.
What's going on? Okay.
OBS dropped out. Everything dropped out for a second, but if you just refresh, everything should be back.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's just have some fun with this this Erika Kirk thing, and then. But Brandon, do you want to make your point?
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that, Israel is an ally for Democrats because it allows Democrats who want to do the same thing that liberal Zionists are doing in Israel to do with the Republicans, to do just that, which is to pretend that they're being dragged along, kicking and screaming into supporting the military-industrial complex. That I would really like to stop genocide or war in the Middle East. I'd love to be pro-peace, but there's just this marginalized group in the Middle East plopped there for who knows what reason, and we have to give them everything that they possibly could ask for and even more to defend themselves in the most vague and nebulous way without any sort of constraints to that. And it allows them to pretend like they're being suckered or drawn into this endless conflict for the right reasons. And whether or not she understands that that's what she's doing, or if that's just become so deeply ingrained into the Democratic, the heavily aligned Democratic Party politician ethos that she just doesn't realize what she's parroting, it is kind of irrelevant because it's been the same for Democrats for a very long time. They can use Israel to support the military-industrial complex and signal that they're serious on foreign policy. They're serious on what it means to be a legislator in America.
Yeah.
I mean, the Block the Bombs Act is the number one. I think, people can correct me if I'm wrong. Is Talarico made his position clear about that? But Crockett is not a signer of Block the Bomb. She is a co-signer of Medicare for All, but a lot of people are. That needs to be, if she wants to actually get credit for that, it needs to become more of a vocal part of her campaign.
Gillibrand did back before she ran, as did Kamala Harris, and then they didn't support it on the campaign trail. So, let's do this. So, Erika Kirk is finally pushing back on Candace Owens, who has made some really, really serious accusations against her, basically, right?
That she's complicit in the cover-up of her former husband's murder.
Right, and that they were on the road for divorce before her husband got murdered.
And her husband was gay. Oh, no, that was Milo, sorry.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't Candace. They were getting a divorce. That was Candace.
Yes. I mean, the amount of comfortability that these figures have in just using this guy's death and his... for their own petty media career advancement. It's not about the politics of it. You have the national kind of Republican donor base that wants to steer TPUSA in a way that is yes, Zionist, but also hopefully they want to activate young Republicans and use that as a way to continue to try to indoctrinate the youth into believing in conservatism. That's their agenda. But for all these media figures like Candace Owens, it's just about views and clicks and sensationalism. And Candace has thrown out a lot of different anecdotes that have heavily implied accusations undergirding them, and she just kind of connects them together very loosely and calls it the theory. But she's causing a lot of problems with the right that is trying to actually gear TPUSA in the manner that I just described as a political apparatus for the Republican Party, where Candace is more incentivized to make Candace money.
I believe she told people to seek refunds from TPUSA for the cover-up.
So, Erika Kirk has got to maybe address this because Candace Owens is dragging her name through the mud.
Destroying the husband's organization that she's now in charge of.
And so, but she doesn't say her name here, but this is clearly directed at Candace Owens on Fox and Friends yesterday.
It's those little things where, again, he would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home.
Oh, this is a different one? Sorry, 10 or 16 here. 16. It's okay. This is the one.
That was her like reframing Charlie as basically a Jewish man.
No,
That's a whole different video.
That's a whole different video.
Apparently, he would say Shabbat Shalom every Friday.
So actually, that's a part of this though. Is Candace is saying he was becoming Roman Catholic, and apparently there's this other insinuation like Charlie was really searching, and Milo thinks he was gay. So.
Wow, he was really all over the place. Here she is.
I just need somebody to come with he was actually converting to Islam, but here she is.
Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people
hold
that
on.
I love,
Oh, okay, all right. The she clarified she meant family, then the TPUSA family, then the Charlie Kirk family, not her family being TPUSA. I just want
the TPUSA family, like the board that put her in charge immediately.
yeah, exactly.
My
The billionaire donors that had been floating Charlie in this position since he was a really young man.
When you mess with me, you mess with Foster Freeze's estate, and so.
And again, they're so effed because they can't say you have to trust Kash Patel's FBI because that is a loser.
Yep. Yeah.
Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode.
They're really mad about
going
that.
after the people that I
Right, that's kind of beside the point.
That's what they're really mad at. That's like why Tim Pool spent like an hour pocket watching, like on like, pocket watching with Pool. That was like his segment 2 weeks ago. Like they're mad at how much better at this she is than they are. They're mad. They're mad.
Yeah. They are not, but that's it. This is all. It's amazing.
It's about money.
It's all about money and how easily Erika Kirk has slipped into making it all about money.
She's still got one finger that doesn't have an $80,000 ring on it. So look at her ring.
Holy, I mean, God, talk about a statement ring.
Oh,
all right?
Wow. She looks like a preacher. She looks like
I mean,
she looks like Tom Brady.
Yeah. Right. Keep going.
going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this. No.
You know, I have to say it. I've never seen you like this.
No, this is righteous anger because this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus. Yes, I believe in our judicial system.
Oh,
I do. We have a hell of a team working on this. Excuse my French. But this is not okay.
So you want to put these people back in the box where they've been creeping from?
I don't care what box you're in. But just know that your words are very powerful, and we are human. My team are not machines, and they're not robots. They are human. We have more death threats on our team and our side than I have ever seen. I have kidnapping threats. I have, you name it.
The right is out of control. The right is just out of control, everybody.
Yeah.
And they're always doing
that's
this
all internal.
Yeah, and I is anybody gonna get like can we stop with the self-victimization stuff on the right? It's really annoying. I mean, how many right-wing influencers right now are making a bunch of videos about like with very thinly veiled conspiracies talking about how under attack they are? I mean, it's weird. I saw like centering yourself as some sort of character in politics and making yourself into a victim. It just is a very odd way, I think, to engage in political analysis.
But it's at the heart of right-wing politics. At the heart of right-wing politics, what keeps all of the like Christian evangelicals and like far-right groypers and like big money billionaires together is victimization.
Yeah.
It's like the complex victimology that, you know, manifests as bigotry oftentimes, but like the complex victimology of like everyone's actually out to get me. You know, I think that like in Erika Kirk, you see it like very plainly because she's not as media trained as her husband is, but she has a lot of the same impulses. Because I think, let's be honest, if Charlie Kirk was around and this had happened to someone else, he'd be doing this exact same thing. I do think though that considering like what happened to Charlie, like their victim like impulses like out of control now, and you know that's why like I think Tim Pool is trying to get ahead of the game. The new meta is going to be the fake shootings. The new meta, like
yeah. But the victim stuff is, I mean, like, I'll be real. I've seen, you know, even like TYT engaging in this stuff where it's like, they're coming after me, me. And it's like, if you're only talking about Israel within the context of you being the victim, or like that's a big part of the conversation. I mean, it lends itself to the conspiracism that they like to engage in around this topic, because it's the shadowy cabal that's coming after them. And it avoids them having to have any real conversation about, like, what do you believe in about this region, for example? Like, I believe in one democratic secular state because I think in people of equal rights. That's not the approach that the right is taking. But
I would say that's actually interesting you bring it up, because I have it on good authority that, like, Charlie, and this might be related to the reason that he was killed. I can't say for sure. It didn't happen in a dream. I just think this to be true.
Right.
Waking dream, if you will. I think that he was about to convert to Black Hebrew Israelitism, and that's why they finally had to come after him, because he was just he was a moment away from, like, revealing the true truth of Judea to the masses, and so, like,
I buy that theory.
Right in the neck.
I'll just this is Social Blade for Turning Point USA, and you can see here that if we get this most recent month, 9 million views. That is the lowest they've had since January 2024. They usually get double that pretty much.
What's
every
that
month.
spike?
That's you know. What that spike was. Not a reproducible strategy, I'll say that.
They should try that more often. I don't know what that corresponds to, but it.
All right, well, we'll play this other Erika Kirk clip we didn't play earlier, but I do think it's pretty cowardly that she didn't mention Candace by name.
Apparently, according to Candace Owens, she saved the name check for her Barry Weiss piece that's coming out, where she will name check Candace.
The Barry Weiss piece. Oh,
they're so lost.
The amount of better things that could be in my brain right now.
And then you saying that.
Than that.
This was the clip we almost played earlier that we were alluding to, which seems you know, Charlie Kirk believed in all religions is basically what I'm hearing here. They're all the same. We all worship the same God, man.
Yeah, he's like one of those
like
stores that sells Tibetan flags.
Yeah, he's like a hippie
Yeah.
who lives, you know, who smoked a little bit too much weed back in the day, and
They call him Coexist Charlie.
Right.
It's those little things where, again, he would walk through the door, drop his bags, Daddy's home,
Bling bling.
take his phone Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all us. And that's what I always wanted to make so special for him, was coming home. I'd always say, baby, I don't care what time you get home. Home is here for you. Your food will never be cold. It might sit out for a little bit, but I'll reheat it. It's fine. And I just want to encourage spouses, don't get mad. It's so easy. Don't do it. It's
okay. All right, gonna read some IMs and get out of here. Turn on the voicemail. Sorry, guys, no more time for calls. I'm actually doing the Vanguard, so I am gonna read some IMs. Gonna go on their show, our friends over there. Read some IMs and get out of here. Reese from Tacoma. Charlie Kirk was about to revert to Islam. The debate with Hassan was supposed to happen was the conversion ceremony. Yes, absolutely.
I don't know, but I know. You know?
No?
5 million views.
Star Spawn. Shout out to fellow Washington folks enduring the atmospheric river. Lots of devastating floods. Please be safe. Yes, be safe.
Atmospheric river? What does that mean?
It's it came through LA when I was there. It was pouring rain.
It's like a monsoon.
Yeah.
Oh, like the Gulf Stream or whatever?
Yeah. Vaughn from Wisconsin. Also, the Senate should be abolished primarily to end discourse regarding Dem Senate primaries.
Yes. One unicameral body of the people.
Yep. Holtenheim. It's literally just deer hunting season, and he lives in a remote country compound that probably has low-maintained woods that other people are hunting in without permission. Tim is just an out-of-place city slicker.
Gunshots in the woods.
Yeah,
It might be deer season there.
It literally is. Yeah.
I like to imagine that all the animals on Charlie's on Tim Pool's compound have little beanies on them, and so if you go like hunting near his compound, like the deers have beanies on them, and like so like, and so if you try to take one down, it's less cool. They're wearing
instead
hats.
of hooves, they have wheels. You
Yeah,
know?
they skateboard. They're cool.
Yeah, they're cool. They're chill. They're all male somehow. All of the deers in Tim Pool's compound. Deer is the plural.
Yeah.
Trying to get ahead of the comments.
It's just my dad's voice in the back of my head. Sorry. Stop saying
Deer
like
and
all the
beanie.
time. Yeah, what'd you
Beanie's the
say?
plural too.
Yeah.
He specifically mentioned Maryland, right? Maryland archery season starts early September. Gun season starts November 29th.
No, he said in Maryland that people broke in and beat up his tenants, and in West Virginia was the gun show.
Oh, okay. Let me check West Virginia.
What?
He said he has got a property in Maryland, and people are breaking into our property and beating up the tenants. I don't know how I'm going to resell this property.
Let's see. If it's not started for deer guns, oh yeah, November 24th. So yeah, it is just gun season.
He thinks deer season is just people trying to kill him.
That's what he thought the 2 years ago too. The same time. That's why it's the same time. It's because fucking gun season started.
Carly Kirk, y'all aren't even going to mention Sam being on I've Had It this morning. Brutal, LOL. He recorded that a while ago. I guess it just came out then.
It was last week, but I remember you saying that yours took a little bit to come out, so that's why we didn't talk about it.
Yeah,
I had
sorry
no idea when
guys.
it was going to be released.
Didn't know it was released, but check out Sam on I've Had It. The Epstein Ballroom atmospheric river is powerful rain like a hurricane, but farther north where hurricane would not form. Gotcha. 3 more.
That's so funny. Somebody tell Tim that deer season starts in late November. So
It's so funny to be such a victim. You think hunting
Unbelievable.
season is about you.
This is probably the Qataris.
I pray to Pesh. She says Charlie Kirk has become like the Republican Rorschach test. Ostentatious. I don't believe my fellow Texans will vote for Jasmine Crockett if she continues her advocacy to send our dollars to support the state of Israel. Cost of living is getting real in this state, and America First voters will not understand, agree with her advocacy.
She also had a terrible answer during the election about cost of living and stuff like that. Like she is a good rhetorical
partisan.
Partisan.
Yep.
But what does she stand for? Like it's a problem if you're running against James Talarico and you make James Talarico look well defined, because I don't think he is yet.
Yeah. And the final I am of the day, Blair Mountain Enjoyer. The shootings at Tim Pool's compound, shootings in quotes, have also happened at the tail end of regular gun season for hunting deer in West Virginia. There's a non-zero chance. Okay, we just said that, so I will come up with another I am, but yes, good point.
Literally, the deer buck firearms, November 24th to December 7th.
Yeah. And the final I am of the day, anonymous. So what happened was J.D. Vance knew he could not become president with an Indian wife, so he went to Israel, revealing that Charlie Kirk was going to stab him in the back and do a 360 pivot to be an anti-Semitic hack. Thus, Israel would have no choice but to publicly assassinate Charlie with their Mormon sleeper cell. Now, J.D. Vance will be able to marry Charlie Kirk's widow and adopt his beautiful white real American babies, allowing him to be the 2028 Republican frontrunner. It's pretty simple when you think about it.
Totally.
Except you left
simple.
out the Egyptian planes.
Oh,
Of course. In Macron's wife. And
Yeah, what about
also,
the
I don't.
France? The French connection.
Yeah.
There's a lot of holes in this theory, especially since like if this plan is going to work, they have to like retire Trump before the 2028 election. JD has to be president going in as incumbent for that energy to work.
Well, we shall see. Brandon, Matt, Binder, Brian, appreciate you all. Thank you all. We will see you tomorrow.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. ticking, and my pilot light shining bright. I guess somewhere the choice was made for the option where you don't get paid, for the road that bends before it finally breaks you. I guess somehow I lost my drive between the 101 and the 5. Do you know how far the detour takes you? Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in, and my pilot light shining bright.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.